Best first cars to own? No. Unfortunately, it's not going to be all the cool cars. Unfortunately, it's not going to be a Lamborghini Huracan. It's not going to be a Porsche. It's not going to be a Ferrari 458. Because as much as we want to just go buy a salvage vehicle and repair it for 1 million views on YouTube, most of us don't really probably shouldn't do that, right? So we're here to talk about cars that you should probably actually buy as one of your first cars or favorite cars to own if you're looking for like a modification-esque fun platform. Maybe you don't got $1 million, but maybe you want to spend some time in the garage having a little bit of fun with, you know, a car that's going to tolerate you treating it incorrectly and is going to tolerate the wrong things that you do to it, because at the end of the day, it's a car that can just handle it because it was built to handle it. And that's what we're gonna be talking about today. So I'm Alex at FI on the gram, and on today's episode, we're gonna be talking about the best first cars to own if you're looking to modify a new platform. So don't forget to subscribe, and if you're looking for wheels, tires, suspension by the time you get done with this video because you're looking to, I don't know, pick up wheels, tires, suspension, you could just check out fitmentindustries.com. Anyway, let's get into it. So let's get into number one. Now, I know it's gonna be a little bit of a weird one for you, but I would say one of the first cars that you could probably go into would be a Cobalt SS. The old Cobalt SS can come turbocharged, supercharged, there's plenty of torque steer, it's fun to play with, it actually has quite a bit of performance modifications behind the old bonnet, and of course there actually is a community behind the platform as well. The cars aren't inherently that expensive to own, and they're even better when it comes down to modifying them because they're not that expensive to actually do things to. The fact that they come with forced induction is actually a really cool benefit to the car itself because it is a small car that can actually tolerate quite a bit. If you guys are looking for a car that you can kind of beat around and have a little bit of fun, a Cobalt SS is going to do it just fine. Number two on the list is obviously one that I would never forget because it is the platform in which decimates all, except not in chronological order in this episode, which would be a Mazda Miata. Mazda Miatas are they're like the frosted flakes of the car scene. You can never go wrong with a bowl of frosted flakes, and you can never go wrong with a Mazda Miata. They do great in pretty much any scenario at any point in time for anything at all. If you have to put 4 people in the car, guess what? Miata will try its best, okay? It's gonna try, but at least it's trying, right? You can pretty much run the cars with no oil in them, they're gonna be just fine. You can turbocharge them, you can supercharge them, you can LS swap them, you can pretty much do anything you want to the LSD, you can throw 100 shot of nitrous in the back and only have it open up under full watt. Not saying that I've done that, but we have owned a vehicle that has done that. And it's just a great platform. The NA, NB, NC, ND platforms are all great in their own merit depending on how much money you want to spend. Now, of course, the NAs feature a little bit of a tax going on right now, but the NBs actually are pretty good steel right now. And with the larger motor, they actually perform quite well. It's a great learning platform for people that don't really understand a lot about cars. Because the Mazda Miata platform is so forgiving, it allows you to learn and it allows you to do a lot of great stuff with the car and really and truly enjoy driving it. Moving forward with me, the 8th gen Honda Civic SI, because the dang things run forever. They're literally incapable of dying. They are impossible to kill. They're like the Terminator, except the whole movie series, it just never seems to end. The 8th gen Honda Civic is pretty much that. They run forever. They're easy to modify. They're a Honda too, which I know people have a tendency to give a little bit of a hard time towards, but there's a reason that they have the platform and the community that they do. If you're looking for a community that has pretty much everything you could possibly imagine, the Honda Civic platform is gonna be the one. Not only that, but the 8th gens actually look very, very good. And over time, I've actually said that, you know, they don't look that bad. And I think they're pretty much well dated. And I don't think they're gonna get any more, well, let's just say like early 2000s-ish styling. The Honda Civic platform, of course, as well, has a lot of great potential for performance modifications and aesthetic modifications if that's kind of your thing. Moving forward on to number 4 would be the Acura RSX. Now, the Acura RSX was back in my time probably one of the most popular cars that you could end up purchasing. It was like a luxury Integra. It was like the car that you bought. It came with 200 horsepower. It came with all the goodies you could possibly imagine, and everybody wanted to make it look like a Type R, and they just did it so well. The back end is raked. It's got the nice little wing on the back. The front end looks super angry. It has like that V nose. It's got the aggressive headlights, and it just overall works. And it's especially a great car for somebody that wants to be able to modify something like the Honda Civic, but in a little bit of a different fashion because the Integra is a higher platform. It's like the nicer version. It's the luxury version, if you will. And with that being said, you can make it look just a little bit better, in my opinion, than some of your 8th gen Civics. Back in the day, I used to see those things run on drag strips all day long and then get daily driven back home. They have a tendency to never blow up and never break, and what more could you want out of a car that you're trying to modify for this first time, or at least trying to own and beat up a little bit? Because guess what, guys? If you're looking to pick up one of these cars, more than likely, it's going to be your primary car. And the Integra does make a very great platform for it being your only car. But if you're going into a car just for the sole fact of making sure that you can use it all the time, maybe you have to go do, what's it called? Get groceries. Maybe sometimes you have to do the thing, what is it called, where you're like, you have to go to Home Depot and you have to buy yard supplies. Sometimes you end up actually working on your car and you need a place to actually put your drive shaft. It'd be nice if you had 4 doors, which is why a lot of times people end up picking up a Subaru Forester. It's about the closest thing you can get to the best of both worlds out of the Subaru platform. And the Forester does look extremely, extremely good when it's done in whatever way you want it to be done. It looks great as a show vehicle, it looks great as a function vehicle, it looks great as a daily driver, and it looks great as just like a car that you can just get in with your friends and just cruise around, go get yourself some T-Bell $5 boxes, or maybe just, you know, take it around for a cruise. The Forester has some limitations in terms of some of its engine potential, just because that's the way it is, but that's not gonna actually hinder the fact of owning one of these cars and how much fun they actually are. A lot of the parts can be interchangeable with some of your OE Subaru Impreza parts, which can allow you to either lower it to more of a car style, or you can actually raise it and throw it into some like Safari RS off-road style things. But the Forester has a little bit of a bro tax going on right now, so you have to find the right one if you're looking to pick one up. But they're kind of uncommon and they can be super well done if the right person picks them up. So if you want something to kind of make a statement while also being a daily drivable vehicle, but you want the 4 doors to fit your friends, I said 4 doors for more friends, okay? Stop it. Then the Subaru Forester is probably the car for you. Moving into the Euro scene, we have the Volkswagen Jetta GLI. Now the GLI is super easy to make look good. The European Volkswagen scene is incredibly big. The cars and the parts that you can get for them are incredibly affordable. And for the most part, the scene is actually not that bad to people that have never actually worked on the cars before. They're one of the few cars, especially coming out of the gate from like the OE factory, that don't look terrible, and they still look like a fun little enthusiastic car that you can buy. And even their entry-level new models aren't exactly the priciest thing in the world. The fact that there are a million of them out there in the world means that a million people have done things to them, which also means that there's a million things of information on them. So the odds of you making a bad purchase are pretty low, because there's gonna be a lot of texts and tips out there for how to maintain your Jetta GLI. Now, the Volkswagen Jetta GLI is a common build, and a lot of people have done the car in the past, but that's not to say that you can't give it your shot and at least daily drive it while you're not enjoying, you know, the old Turbski sounds, or maybe you did break it, now you're sad because you ended up breaking it. But the Volkswagen GLI does handle a little bit of tolerance to people kind of having a tendency to beat it up a little bit, but you gotta be nice to it. At least with the maintenance, that is one of those cars where it's great as long as the maintenance is done. And if it's not done, you're gonna wanna maybe go to the gas station, because you've got space. You wanna go to a gas station, go to a liquor store, you're gonna wanna find yourself a nice little bottle of like, hopefully not cheap anything. It's just gonna make you feel better, I promise. Next up, we have the 350Z and the G35. Now they're pretty much the same car. Now I know some people are gonna get mad at that. They're not actually identical in every way, but they are very similar platforms, and they're gonna behave very similar depending on what you want to get out of them. But take your pick on the styling and you've got a very, very good car. Now the VQ motors do get a little bit of flack for their exhaust note, but as a car itself, the 350Zs look extremely well. In fact, they did the wide hip thing back before wide hips were inherently cool. And you can fit some pretty large wheels and tires in the back end without having to go with a wide body or anything like that. The same thing could be said for the G35, depending on if that is more your look. It's a little bit more of a luxury kind of vehicle counterpart, and it doesn't look half bad. If you just do like a nice VIP look on the Infiniti G35, or if you do like a nice little clean setup for the show for the 350Z, you're gonna be pretty well set up to enjoy the car and have it look good for the gram, or maybe just for you, but there's nothing wrong with that. The biggest thing that you have to remember though is both platforms are going to be rear wheel drive, or at least the ones that we're talking about. Now, the 350Z is gonna be generally a little bit cheaper, and the G35 is gonna be a little bit harder to get parts on. That's gonna save you $1 or $2. So we naturally lean towards the 350Z just because of the platform and the community that's behind it. And it's a ton of fun. You have to get over the fact though that there is a little bit of styling issues and aging that's gone on with the 350Z. So you have to do a few things to your headlights, taillights, and maybe some side skirts to bring it up to par. Wheels, tires, mandatory on the platform though, because they end up coming tucked right from the factory. Just a tip, great car if you're looking to get something that's gonna feel sporty, a little bit bigger than a Mazda Miata, a little bit more powerful than a Mazda Miata, but still allows you to go with a little bit more of a showy setup. And last, but certainly not least, is a car that not a lot of people anticipate, but is one that we have a tendency to absolutely love. The Fiesta ST. Now the Fiesta boys we've talked about in the past, but they are like their own breed. Everybody talks about having a Ford Focus ST, and then they pick up a Fiesta, and then they get the Fiesta and they talk about how incredible it is, and it's like they've never owned a Focus before in their entire life. They've recently become extremely affordable. They come with Recaros, they're a ton of fun, they're autocross beasts, they're pretty much a street legal go-kart. They are a Mazda Miata on steroids if you can get into the hot hatch game. They're not inherently a very mean car though, so you have to decide if that's kind of your thing. Fiestas, though, at the end of the day, is probably one of the best cars that you can buy if you're looking to have true automotive fun in a car, right next to that Mazda Miata, right next to some of those 350Z platforms, or if you just like the big old smoky burn as the Ford Mustang. But the Fiesta ST have become recently very affordable, and because they're newer, you get a couple other goodies that some of the other cars on the list just don't get. One of the biggest things with the Fiesta ST is, of course, watch out for those maintenance items and making sure that the person before you didn't beat it up as much as you're about to beat it up. And they do go around all year round. We've got the rain coming back in. Absolutely fantastic time. So let us know what car you think is one of the best bang for your bucks. And of course, if you just picked up one of these cars, or if you just picked up a car and generally looking for aftermarket wheels, tires, suspension, head up fitmentindustries.com because we pretty much got it all. If you're looking to win a free set of coilovers, we got a description link below for you to pick up a t-shirt. And of course, I'm Alex from Fitment Industries, and if you haven't done any of that, at least subscribe so we can keep making awesome videos like this. We will see you guys later. Peace.